All right, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon or good evening, wherever you are. This is your host, Joe Imbriano, the Fullerton Informer, coming to you on this drive time edition. Today's Tuesday, July 9th, 2024. And I want to welcome you all to the broadcast. Glad to see that the notifications are going out. It is another very eventful day here on this plane under the firmament on this day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it, and may we be redeeming the time, for the days truly are evil, folks, and I'm not kidding. This is your host, Joe Imbriano, the Fullerton Informer, P.O. Box 4121, Fullerton, California, 92834. On the web at thefullertoninformer.com, WiFiDangers.com, VaxDangers.com, CellTowerDangers.com, 5GDangers.com. And try speaking those words into a phone or a search engine, and watch artificial intelligence will redirect you away from those websites. It's unbelievable, right? I mean, just do a little experiment. Talk to your phone and type in, talk to your phone and tell it to look up celltowerdangers.com or any of my websites and see what you get. It's pretty interesting, right? All right, let's make sure we have a good transmission here. I'm gonna put this down for just a sec. All right, hang on. Had to get a drink of water there. All right, you guys see me okay? Good. All right, so I want to talk to you about the news, folks, because, boy, it's unbelievable. I want to thank all of you out there for your prayers, okay? Because at the end of the day, I most certainly need them along with my family, because what I've undertaken over the past decade has had a very dramatic impact on how my family has been treated by the degenerate filth in my community and in other aspects and strata of our society. But nonetheless, you know, considering what lies ahead, let me tell you something, folks. When we look back, we're going to wish we fought harder than we did. I know I'm not going to have any regrets. I don't know about you, and I hope you're in the same boat, because we're in for it. Okay, so coming up in October, in Washington, D.C., at this White House event, they're going to have this bird flu pandemic simulation exercise, right? And they're going to have a wargaming session on how to deal with the bird flu pandemic. It's kind of like this thing they did with, the Event 201, right? Remember that? Remember when we had that playbook for COVID that was put out a couple years in advance? Well, they're doing one for the bird flu now. They're talking about a deadly respiratory epidemic that's going to affect chickens and cows and pigs and people, right? What a better way to destroy the food supply than to invent some sort of pathogen that allegedly has the ability to infect everything that inhales air and comes in contact with aerosolized droplets of what living creatures exhale. And it just so conveniently happens to affect the majority of the food supply that we rely on for sustenance, right? I mean, okay, you want to give me your vegan routine as you go and, have your your milk and your cricket bar. Well, we'll see how well you hold up when you have all the exoskeletons of crickets rotating in unison with the 5G frequencies that will turn the chitin into a nanoblender in your bloodstream that will yield the Ebola symptoms, right? Oh, I don't want to get sidetracked, but they are working on a bird flu vaccine for pigs and people. They're working on contagion containment for bird flu. They're working on wargaming for bird flu. They're working on another Bolshevik operation, folks. And if you don't understand history, you are going to learn it really quick because it repeats itself repeatedly. The average person, I don't mind telling you, has a very short attention span. I mean, that's why they invented things like TikTok, because the average attention span's under 3 minutes now, maybe even less. And, the more educated someone is, the more resistant they are to having any common sense presented to them and having them understand truth. Okay? So, where does that put us? Well, when you have the entire population getting their information from their teachers and their preachers and the television and the newspapers and the magazines and the social media controlled opposition people that are promoting these narratives, we are going to be in for a very difficult ride. Now, it's not going to be impossible to survive this, but it's going to be difficult because we're going to be vastly outnumbered in terms of those who are completely oblivious to what is happening. But we're in the early stages of a total communist takedown of the United States. And we're on the verge of a carefully planned out civil war. And they're going to use Trump and they're going to use Biden to get everybody to hate each other. The phony, false dichotomy, this phony left-right paradigm, this phony Democrat versus Republican culture war, when in fact they're both working for the deniers of Jesus Christ to maintain the central banking Bolshevik genocide model, by which they will take control of the food supply and decimate it under the guise of protecting public health. They will collapse the economy under the guise of restricting the money supply to combat runaway inflation. They will attempt to foment the hatred and division amongst Americans. And if they can't get the guns, they'll make us use them on each other. That's their plan. Do you realize that's why they've been training your children with these video games to be killers for the past 20 years? Do you realize Xbox, CSGO, and all these killing games are basically a mind control system? Do you realize what they're doing? Well, I think if you don't realize what they're doing, you're going to find out what they're doing because, I'll be honest with you. Far too many people think everything is just fine because they have a few bucks in their pocket. And I know a lot of people who think they're going to be fine because they've got a bunch of zeros after some numbers on a piece of paper or on a computer screen that's got some banking letterhead on it, right? I remember many years ago, I was on a little road trip, and for some reason, my credit card stopped working. And I didn't have a lot of gas, and I was hungry, and it was late. And guess what? I was going through the car like a tweaker looking for, something I lost under the seat, right? Looking for change. Well, I managed to scrape together enough to put some gas in the tank and get something to eat and got myself home. But folks, all they got to do is disconnect you from your zeros in your bank account. And how that's done is how it's being done right now. They just keep closing all the bank branches because they put everything online. And so if they just decide to close all the bank branches and one day they stop answering the phone, sorry, your money's gone. You can call 800 number in India and talk to Mr. Patel. He'll figure it out as he puts you on hold with 10,000 other people and asks for your social security number, your mother's maiden name, and then sells it all on the dark web so he can go out and get himself a Tesla, right? I don't know, folks, but what do you think's going to happen? You wonder why you have situations like the decriminalization of crime and, you know, how they don't prosecute all this retail theft. And so the end result is it drives businesses out of business. So the only place left to buy stuff is online. You wonder why they keep raising up the minimum wage to drive restaurants and fast food places out of business. So the only place you'll be able to get your food is have it delivered from, you know, one of these big operations. You wonder why there's all these food recalls on all this alleged contamination. You wonder why there are all these explosions and fires at meatpacking plants. You wonder why there are all these things happening with the poultry industry and the poultry farms and the livestock industry with respect to bird flu and contagion. Because eventually, when they kill off all the livestock and they blow up all the slaughterhouses and they burn down all of the grocery stores and they shut down all of the retail outlets and they shut off your credit card, the only thing left to eat is your next door neighbor. And they'll get you to use your guns on them. Don't let it come to that, folks. Wake the heck up. You know, everywhere I go, I see these Amazon trucks with the penis emblem on it. As if that doesn't stare you in the face that they're taking over. Did you notice that the emblem for Amazon, the company logo, is a penis? Now, is that the biggest FU in your face you've ever seen in your life? As they monopolize the distribution network of food, auto parts, electronics. Oh, that's okay. We got Temu taking over from communist China as they use TikTok for all you idiots to make fools of yourselves and degrade yourselves, you know, selling all this trash, as they use the computer systems to train the artificial intelligence with your accents and dialects and degeneracy, so they can literally just have AI run everything and run it like a communist, slave-owned, slave employee-run social credit score lockdown system, right? Think about it. You criticize the government, you won't be able to get health insurance, you won't be able to get a job, you won't be able to travel, you won't be able to buy food. Why? Because they'll shut you off, they'll close your bank accounts. Guess what, folks? I can't have a PayPal account. I have a lifetime ban on PayPal. They won't tell me what I did. I fall under the list of these people that would have all kinds of problems with the government and criminal activity. That's what they've lumped me in with, right? I've been married for 26 years. I have absolutely nothing on my criminal record. I have an impeccable FICO score. You know, employment stability. They got nothing on Joe Imbriano, right? So they got to make me out to be something I'm not. So they give me a lifetime ban on PayPal. They give me a lifetime ban on Zelle. They give me a lifetime ban on Patreon. You know, all these circus clowns that got these donate links up and getting money for they're obviously not telling you the truth, because the deniers of Jesus Christ are letting them run freely. and they're letting them monetize and make money off of their circus clown operation, right? But the goal is to make everybody that has a brain and an IQ and a functioning conscience into an economic refugee by allowing the criminals to run all the stores out of business with the shoplifting and the thievery, by consolidating all the grocery stores with the mergers and shutting down everything like you're seeing with the big grocery chain mergers and the closing of all the malls and the brick and mortar stores, things like hardware and electronics and durable goods. You're seeing all these stores close, and you're being forced to go online to get them. And if they shut you off electronically, you ain't getting nothing. And if we go cashless, then you're going to have your vaccines to buy and sell, to get a job, to travel, to get on a bus. Why do you think all the cameras are going in everywhere? Why do you think they ran the COVID operation with the mask mandates as long as they did? It was to train the facial recognition systems, ladies and gentlemen. They got that down to a science pretty much. They can figure out who you are even with the mask on. So it doesn't matter if you're looking like a circus clown in your costume. They still know who you are. Get on a cruise ship or go to the DMV, facial scanning, facial recognition technology. The airlines use it, the cruise lines use it, the casinos use it, the hotels are using it, some of the restaurants are using it. You see where this is heading? Oh, but everything's fine. I've got it all planned out, right? Oh, I got my retirement, and I'm going to be okay, and I don't give a rat's ass what happens because I'm okay. No, you're not okay, you idiot. And if you're talking like that, there's a good chance that you've been part of the problem. And the reason that they've bribed you and hung this carrot out at the end of the treadmill is to get you to close your eyes to what you've been part of for a long enough period of time to where you've become a useful idiot that they will discard like a used piece of toilet paper when it comes time to blow things out. And they will. You think with the trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars of debt that this country has, that is owed to the Federal Reserve, that anyone's going to collect anything that they've been told they're owed? Let me tell you something, folks. You go to one of these countries where the banks fail, and let me tell you what your wealth consists of at that moment. What you have in your pocket, and what you have in the trunk of your car, and what you have in the cabinet in your house. That's the sum total of your possessions at that point. And God help you if you weren't smart enough to at least have something to eat saved up. Because there's going to be a lot of people that are driving around these fancy smancy cars that won't start. The cards won't work. The cash registers will be shut off. They always like to cut me off, don't they? It's not my cell phone company throttling the data. I'm on a VPN. It's a direct knockout, folks. It's intentional. They always do this. These other guys that run around with their... and by the way, I'm in Southern California. There's plenty of signal here. There's not an issue with enough bars on this thing, unfortunately. You guys got me now? Are we good? Are we back? So let's recap this, folks. They've got some wax dummy who wears a rubber mask that is a complete geriatric moron named Joe Biden that's posing as president of the United States, who's a fictitious character, okay? There is no real Joe Biden. They got different guys with rubber masks that get up there and act stupid. And then they got this New York bankster, Trump, who is a Christ denier, who's being worshipped by Christians, serves the cabal of the deniers of Jesus Christ, hook, line, and sinker, as the opposition. So it's like, you know, he goes into a boxing ring with a blow-up doll. You know, Biden is not intellectually capable of even passing the driving test, okay? He's not running the country, all right? He's not running anything. He's just up there to make you think he is. And then, you know, Trump's going to come in there. He's not running anything either. He's just doing what he's told to do. They're both characters in a sick, twisted plot on a play on a filthy stage. And if you're falling for this, if you really think this political dichotomy is legit, there's no hope for you. You're an absolute moron. You understand me? If you believe this circus that you're being fed with all the fancy colors and commentators is real, you're a complete, absolute moron. Okay? Now, let's talk about things for real here, folks. They're getting ready for a bird flu drill in Washington, D.C. this October. And they're going to do the war game simulation of a massive bird flu pandemic. And let me tell you what a bird flu pandemic will do. All right? Now, I'm going to tell you something right now. I need you to listen to me. This is very important. The first bird flu outbreak they're going to run is going to be just like COVID. It's going to be a drill. Okay? It's going to be a drill because COVID was all about killing businesses and eviscerating all your rights and testing the waters by using emergency health powers acts to take away your rights. In other words, in the United States, it has been a very long time since an end run has been made around constitutional rights with the declaration of public health emergencies. Okay? I'm going to repeat this. When you start hearing people talking about something as a public health emergency, you can rest assured in several things. Number one, the only emergency to public health is what they're about to propose as the solution. Number two, you can guarantee that they're up to no good and they're trying to do away with your ability to exist as you did prior to the declaration. Now in COVID, they made you stay home. They made you not go out after dark. They made you wear a mask. They made you take a vaccine. They made you, quarantine. They made you shut your business down. And, to all you phony clowns in the pulpit, you shut your churches down, right? And you went along with this, okay? But my point is, the bird flu thing's going to be a drill too. They're going to practice. They're going to flex their muscles. Slaughter a couple of flocks here, slaughter a couple of flocks there, dump out the milk, kill the cows, kill the chickens, shut down the food packing facilities, shut down the chicken ranch, shut down the milk production, shut it all down. And they're going to tell you that, lab-grown meat's been proven to be safe because it's got excellent quality control and it's been sterilized, right? There won't be any viruses in this fake meat that they're going to, that you're going to be eating that's actually been grown, in these giant metal vats that are full of HeLa cells, which are really just, harvested cancer cells that grow like crazy. That's why they're going to use them for the lab-grown meat, because the HeLa cells grow so fast that they could turn those into a ribeye with pink slime and a little bit of electricity in a couple of days, right? They'll make it taste really good. You gonna eat that stuff? I hope not. There's that parking brake. I'm gonna stop this thing. You need to listen to me, folks. What's going on right now is a total communist takedown at every level, okay? They're letting the criminals run free And they're using the criminals to do a couple of things. They're using the criminals to destroy the brick and mortar retail and grocery stores. They're using the criminals to make a, bedlam in the streets to get more police power. In Orange County, they just spent like $150 million on this massive sheriff's department fusion center where they got this electronic network that taps into everybody's Ring doorbell cameras and blurs the lines between jurisdictions. And now, it's going to be feds and the Department of Justice and the FBI and Interpol and the sheriffs and the local cops and even the freaking security guard at Walmart, for crying out loud, will probably be in on this. But they're going into a society with a total social credit score, total police state, control out of chaos. If they were really caring or concerned about the well-being of the American people, they would make the criminals stay in the cage. They would seal the borders. They're letting the border run wild, wide open, so they can come back and force biometrics on everybody. Everybody is going to have some sort of an ID with the facial scan and retina scan and biometric identifiers. It's control out of chaos. It's already had chaos, folks. That's the method. The reason they're letting all this stuff happen is it's a takedown. They're destroying all of the traditional infrastructure and the traditional way of life. And they're even now making the massive amounts of people enraged with the current system to demand that it be overthrown and replaced. And what they're going to be replacing it with is something you're going to wish you never wished for, folks. Because if you want to know where this is heading, China's the model. It's a complete, absolute disaster. China's the largest prison in the world, folks. And everything happening here and everyone that's involved in making these decisions, especially Gavin Newsom, the governor of California, they'll put him in the White House. You watch. He's done everything in his power to destroy California. Everything. He signed every psychotic piece of legislation that is completely in diametric opposition to every sane policy and premise and principle of a constitutional republic has ever seen. And he will be handsomely rewarded for what he's done by these devils, because he's been their front man. The women love the guy no matter how wicked he is. People are so stupid they can't see through what's happening. I can't even begin to emphasize just how serious of a problem we are facing right now. And I don't know how much time we have left, but I do know that they're going to go after the food supply, kill off a lot of the livestock, if not most of it, and get us into, eating bugs and eating lab-grown meat and eating vegan stuff. And that way we're anemic and malnourished, and they can turn up the towers and make us sick. And by the way, good amounts of iron give you protection against radiation from these towers, folks. That's why they want you on this, this plant-based Soylent Green diet, so you'll be anemic and you'll more easily succumb to the electromagnetic attack that's coming. And, folks, this is not the time to be worried about what people think about you. This is not the time to be getting drunk and hanging out with your buddies watching the ball game. This is time to be making preparations for shit hitting the fan, because it's coming. And they're telling you it's coming. They've been telling you in the movies. They've been telling you in the music. They've been telling you in the video games. They've been showing you in the history books how it repeats itself. And they have to tell you, because the religion that they practice is a form of Talmudic Kabbalah, where they are required to tell you in advance what they're going to do as a form of atonement and being absolved from their wrongdoing. And it's considered implied consent and to be forgiven by telling us in advance. That's what the whole movie industry is all about, folks. That's what the whole music industry is all about. It's in your face. It's not predictive programming, folks. It's a religious system. It's a religious order. These are religious sacraments. And everybody, by and large, okay, I'm going to make a statement right now. And I asked a guy this, one of the, this is a very serious question. I said, hey, do you think the earth is flat? And you know what this guy told me? Smart as an ox, right? You know what he says? He says, well, yeah, how else does the water stay on it? Did you hear what I just said? How else does the water stay on the earth unless it's flat? Now, what do they tell you? That it's a spinning ball, that space is a vacuum. But yet, everything that you've been taught from kindergarten all the way to getting your PhD is counterintuitive to common sense and logic. Everything that they have told you is a lie. And every horrific scenario in the movies is basically a projection of their wicked, evil hearts in what they want to do to us, which is to genocide us through violence and starvation as a sacrifice to their god Baal and Molech and Remphan and all the demonic entities they worship, folks. You can't just be this milquetoast wimp sitting in a pew on Sunday, singing a couple of happy songs and then eating your donut and going back to your television and, checking in on your Fidelity retirement account once in a while, planning out vacations for the next 10 years. It's not going to happen for you. You're going to end up getting rounded up like a donkey and turned into glue at the glue factory if you don't wake up. These people mean business. And if you haven't noticed, the level of vile filth, violence, and wickedness, and psychosis, and psychotic, insane behavior that is in the movies and in the music, and these people are in control of our government, these people are in control of our military, these people are in control of our financial institutions, these people are in control of the large corporations, these people are in control of the central banks, these people are in control of shipping and air travel. And these people have got you believing that you're on a spinning ball and that the maps that they taught you in school are real, when in fact there's probably twice as many more continents out there as they've told us about, because beyond the ice walls, all kinds of other land masses that the cruise ships and the battleships and the airplanes and the helicopters and the Amelia Earharts aren't allowed to go see, because if they do, they don't come back, right? You ever wonder what happened to Amelia Earhart? Maybe she had an inkling to go past the ice wall and see what the heck is going on. I mean, any airline pilot with a brain realizes that the horizon is always flat. The mechanical gimbal that shows the altitude and the horizon, it's a mechanical device. It doesn't work on a ball. It works on a plane. And any airline pilot that's legit and honest will tell you the Earth is not a sphere, okay? It's not. And water can't stay on a spinning ball, and the atmosphere cannot exist with the vacuum right on top of it, you idiots. And you want to let your children keep playing these video games and thinking that waxing your Tesla is going to get you from point A to point B, and so you can eat bacon in Spain all summer. You are going to end up in a pine box, just like all the rest of these numbskulls, if you don't wake up, because they are going to starve you to death. And they're going to make you kill each other. And if you don't believe me, just turn on the TV for 1 minute and put your bong down, put your bottle down, put your Betty Crocker down, put your Duncan Hines frosting down, put your pills down for 2 or 3 minutes. And open your freaking eyes and look at the absolute trash and psychotic filth that they're beaming right between your eyes into your brain through that electronic Ouija board called a Hellivision that is being controlled by the deniers of Jesus Christ. Wake up. Come on. Come on. Seriously. How long are you going to put up with the guys breaking into your house with the masks on, putting a 45 to your head, saying, let me rape your wife and give you your jewelry? As they tell you can't own a gun, as they have all the gangster rap on all the MTV videos, and all the video games are about robbing and killing and Grand Theft Autoing society, right? How much longer are you going to put up with this? How much longer do you think these chickens are not going to come home to roost and literally take a poop in your face? It's happening, folks. There are about 1,000 robberies in Los Angeles every month. 1,000. I had a gal today, 3 o'clock in the morning, and there's 3 guys in her bedroom with a gun. And they said, give me your jewelry and give me your financial documents. They all had masks on. They're following COVID protocols as they break into your house, right? It's everywhere. You have a God-given right to defend yourself. You have a God-given right to own a firearm. On his last night on earth, Jesus told his disciples to sell their cloaks and buy a sword. A sword was a military-style weapon at the time. They were not told to go out and buy a remote control and an iPad and a video game system. He told them to buy a sword. And that's in the 15th chapter of Luke. Now, if you've sat in church for any length of time, I guarantee your pastor or your pickpocket pimp in the pulpit preacher never told you about that. Now, did he or she, right? No, they just want you singing a few songs, getting to know each other, and, getting real comfortable donating your house to the church instead of your children, and handing over your mutual funds and your stocks over to the church instead of your children, and giving money to people that have no business taking it from you as they put you to sleep with the degenerate eschatological interpretation of the scriptures, right? What a shame. What a shame. But guess what? Our numbers are growing. And, the level of censorship on the information I put out on my websites is a clear telltale sign that they're using the AI to scrub the information because they're worried about it. And, they should be, folks. Because, hang on for a second. Because you got really stupid not to see what's going on. You literally have to be a moron not to see what is happening, okay? And if you want to pretend that things are going to go on like they did 25, 30, 40, 50 years ago, you're out of your mind, okay? You need to wake up your spouse. Young guys, if you're dealing with a gal, you're in a relationship, or gals, if you're in a relationship with a guy, and they don't get it, get out of that relationship, because you're not going to survive together, okay? You need to be involved with people who are of the same mindset and the same ability to grasp reality, because there's nothing worse than a mate or a partner that is in denial, because you will suffer, okay? It's not going to get better, folks. We're in a situation now where the country is totally bankrupt financially. The leadership is a joke. Congress is totally sold out. I mean, everybody in Congress is a complete scumbag at this point. Law enforcement is corrupt to the core. The churches are all, literally just a joke. They're just literally putting you to sleep or making you think the world's coming to an end, and not to worry because Jesus is going to come back and take you up, right? But tell that to the North Koreans, who have been Christians for 50 years, who have their entire families kidnapped and tortured for speaking one word against that degenerate pig Kim Jong-un over there, right? I mean, seriously, that filthy, degenerate piece of human garbage has millions and millions of people being terrorized, and everybody's working in lockstep to protect him and his cadre of demonic followers over there in North Korea, where they're starving him to death. And if you speak out against the government, they'll come and arrest you, your wife, your aunt, your uncle, your children, and your neighbors. They've got everybody so scared over there because they can't fight back. In the United States, we still have gun stores. We still have grocery stores. We still have cash. We still have Bibles. And we still have people with brains. The question is, do we have anybody left that has any balls? And I'll leave you with that, folks, because ultimately that's what it's going to come down to. because there's no place else to run away to, okay? All you guys that come in here from another country, you know, the people that fled the Khmer Rouge or Pol Pot or Mao Zedong, or, you know, the guys that got out of Cuba before Castro turned it into the Gulag, or, you know, the people that left the Bolshevik disaster of Stalin and Lenin, the people that came out of, you know, East Germany that tried to get here. Look, folks, there's no place else to go. There's nowhere to run to this time. We're going to have to hold our ground and stand our ground. You know what that means? That means just what I said. That this time, don't run away. We have to stay put, stand our ground, and say no. And be ready. All right? That's what you got to do. And if you're involved with somebody that thinks that nothing bad is ever going to happen to them, then get rid of them. Send them back to the gene pool of the genetic dead ends. Don't have children with them. Don't reproduce with them. Don't enter marriage relationships with them, because you're not going to make it together. You're going to end up getting dragged down by the cowards. You cannot be involved with cowards, folks. Do you understand? You're better off going through life by yourself than being weighed down and destroyed by somebody who is a brain-dead coward. I don't care how hot the girl is or how handsome the guy is. If they don't get it, get out and get ready. Now, I hope you have a nice afternoon or evening wherever you are, and enjoy the rest of the day, because we still got a lot of good times ahead of us, because we know what's coming. And we could still enjoy ourselves planning and telling everybody the truth, because there's nothing more fulfilling than sharing the truth and telling others about the salvation of Jesus Christ, the good news that leads to eternal life. And that's what they hate the most, folks, because when you have people that have been born again by the Holy Spirit of God, they can't be lied to, and they can't be silenced. And that's why they have these churches, to keep you from being born again, to keep you lied to keep you stuck on stupid, to keep you afraid, and to keep you believing in the lies. That's why they drop the bombs. Like, you know, they put the globe earth up on the Jumbotron. They'll have the epidemiologists in there telling you about the, you know, the vaccines, and they'll have you in there, you know, saying how wonderful, you know, the football game's going to be, and, you know, how NASA's so credible, and they just found water floating around in space without a planet, right? And they'll make fun of people who just don't get with the program. You know, it was years back I did this presentation at a church, and I will say this, that the woman who did everything she could to make sure that that presentation never took place at that church again is dead, okay? And she happened to be the pastor's wife, who made sure that I never came back to that church again, and she terminated and made sure her husband terminated my friend's ministry at that church. And she's dead. She died of cancer. You know, you wonder about, you know, when you're on the wrong side of things your whole life, and you hide under this guise of religious, you know, righteousness or religious phoniness, and you take everybody's money and you give everybody false hope, and you hide the truth. That's what happens, folks. It's frightening. All right. You know, I'm a pretty merciful guy, and I can put up with quite a bit. But, you know, I don't have a lot of mercy for people that run these big churches, take everybody's money in the dark, and hold the truth in unrighteousness. That's not me, folks. I'm one of us. I'm one of you. I'm just a regular guy raising a family, trying to get the word out so these demonic scum don't destroy everything that your parents and their parents and our forefathers lived and died for, folks. And that is the ability to live freely and travel and love and worship God and pass on the truth and grow food and be able to think critically and to explore this world God has created for us, and not keep us locked in this satanic prison in front of a television hooked up to an IV drip, watching everything through a VR headset as they satanize our souls. I ain't putting up, neither should you. In Jesus' name we go, ladies and gentlemen. Tell the truth and take care. See you soon.